DC has over the past few months hosted plenty of LGBTQ pride events. However, there's still many problems and hardships facing the LGBT community in the district, including LGBTQ homelessness. The Wanda Alston House and Casa Ruby are two organizations dedicated to supporting the LGBTQ community by providing housing programs and services that uplift LGBTQ youth. Every night, hundreds of teens go without a place to stay simply because of who they are. Let us look into this growing problem in this episode of District Buzz. One out of 4 LGBTQ youth are kicked out or run away from their homes. Up to 40% of our homeless youth self-identify as LGBTQ, although only 17% of DC high school students identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, or questioning. The housing programs that exist currently are often unaccepting to the LGBTQ youth. There, the youth have been known to be harassed, abused, and exploited. It is important that the housing programs and people working with the LGBTQ community accommodate for the difficulties in the youth's lives. The Wanda Alston House is the first program in Washington, D.C. that is completely dedicated to offering pre-independent housing to LGBTQ youth ages 16 to 24. Casa Ruby is the only bilingual, multicultural LGBTQ organization. The Casa Ruby organization provides help with housing, healthcare, legal services, and jobs. The organization has also built a community center that supplies hot meals, support groups, emergency housing referrals, and more.
I am the executive director. My role is just to have oversight over the entire organization. So Wanda Alston was an advocate here in Washington, D.C. Just an amazing person. She was involved in advocacy for women. She was a feminist. She was an advocate in terms of the recovery population. What she's most known for is her compassion and understanding around youth in Washington, D.C., and she fought very hard to bring awareness to homeless youth in Washington, D.C.
I'm 45 years old, and I am a transgender woman. And growing up in Washington, D.C., as I moved here from El Salvador, escaping a civil war, I ended up homeless, young and homeless, with very little support. And I say little because I want to be optimistic, but really no support at all.
The foundation was started as a result of expanding to make sure there was an organization that was committed to making sure that our youth had a place in terms of if they were homeless. But we also wanted to do more than that. We wanted to do housing, but we also wanted to get involved in advocacy and wanted to get involved in capacity building, and so that people around the city would understand what it was like, or have some sense of what it was like to be a homeless youth, particularly those who are LGBTQ youth.
We have 6 major programs. They are all interconnected, but one main piece is to support people that otherwise will not get the support somewhere else.
It's not simply that they're homeless, it's because they're not often embraced by the larger community, so they feel like outsiders. They're more likely to drop out of school. So they're more at risk because growing up a youth, it's difficult to be a youth in an urban setting anyway. And when you compound that with situations like being LGBT, where people don't understand you, you go to school and you're bullied, they're more at risk to act out.
The rest of the world is telling them that they're not good, that something is wrong with them, that they're bad people. But the reality is that I very often feel like for other people, in the youth that I see, they are like somebody else's disposables, and they're my biggest treasure. I have parents who actually drop their kids right in front of my door. And it seems to me that they're dropping them off because something is so wrong with them. And when I open the door, they're my biggest treasure.
I think what's interesting about homeless youth is you don't see them out on the street because they might be staying at a person's house, or we call it couch surfing. So a lot of them do couch surfing where they'll stay at one person's house until somebody says, I've had enough of you, you need to move on. And I believe that's been going on. I've been doing work with LGBT persons for over 20-something years, and I think the epidemic or homelessness was existing then. Again, you just don't see it in a way that you see older homelessness.
So what happens when providers or establishments that support people in need and don't support people like the one that I serve, it basically sends a message that their lives are not worth it.
And so if you think about a youth who's homeless, that's one thing, but to be LGBTQ homeless, now I was kicked out of my house because my mother did not identify my sexual orientation, that's a slightly different one. Sometimes you may need somebody in places to understand that.
I know in my heart that I will be okay, and I will go and I can actually die today and I can rest in peace, because I know in my heart I took care of those people that everybody else rejected.
People think if I don't have the cash, I can't help. I don't think that's true. I think that you can volunteer, you can become a mentor. You don't have to think it's a $30,000 check. It's whatever you can bring. That's how everyday people can help, by doing everyday things.
Speak up on issues. Homelessness is an issue in this city. Very often people don't talk about who is homeless. There's poverty in our city. This is an amazing city, and we should talk about poverty from all the intersections. So I think that support starts with us, making sure we stand against something that is wrong. The best thing is just come in. We have a gay center, but to me the word gay is happy. So anyone who wants to be happy and gay can come in through our doors and they can get the love and support that they need.
LGBTQ youth face a lot of adversity in their lives, some that drive them to the street. Even organizations dedicated to assisting homeless youth fall short when it comes to supporting individuals in the LGBTQ community. However, it is good to note that there are organizations assisting at-risk and homeless youth in the city. Each of us should do our part to check ourselves and be sure to respect and support our friends in the LGBTQ community. My name is Kenny Carroll, and you've just been buzzed.